Okay, this is a long story, but I'll try and keep it short. Also because it's chilly out here. It looks really nice, really clear, beautiful air. The wind is blowing just pretty strongly out there. You can't really see the white smokestacks in the distance on the camera, but pretty strong southern wind. Sorry, northern wind blowing south. Yeah. So this video is about a little bit of animosity for the post office, and that's why it's long and complicated. My neighbor Colin, who used to live here, had a bunch of packages that he mailed home to South Africa when he left. They got to South Africa. The South African post office wanted a bunch of taxes on them, and he said, I don't have that money right now, and that's kind of ridiculous. And so he left the post office, then he came back and said, okay, I'm going to pay this, and it's ridiculous. And said, sorry, we don't have your packages anymore, we returned them. We sent them back. So the girl who's living in his apartment now got the packages, or got the thing for the packages, and it said, you owe $130 in fees, and we're going to give you your packages back. I have no idea what this is, gave it to her supervisor. Supervisor wrote down some of the information, filed it away, that's it. Didn't do anything. Colin calls me and says, these packages, I hear they've gone back to Japan, can you let my neighbor know and have them delivered to you if possible, and then I'd like you to take care of it. It was kind of his go-to guy for things when he was here, you know. Knock on my door at 8:30 at night, do you have an onion? Can you make me some brownies? Can you fix my iron? My wife's going into labor, can you call us a taxi? 3 in the morning. That one I knew about beforehand, so I would kind of plan it out, but still. I was helping with things, so it's better to have me help. And so I talked to the neighbor, found out that the package has already come, talked to her supervisor, and the supervisor wouldn't tell me anything directly. She wrote me a letter with the information, or most of the information about the packages, saying here's the address they came to, which I could read off the door and I knew already. Here's how many packages, the cost, and here's the post office they're at and their phone number. So I call the post office and they say, do you have the tracking number? Without the tracking number, we can't help you. Typical of Japan. No tracking number, no service. You need that one thing or else they just can't help you. So I said to her, the woman on the phone, I said, even if I can't get the tracking number, you have to help me with this. You're not just leaving these 5 boxes of someone's personal possessions someplace. You really need to return them. So I asked for the tracking number, and again, I don't get a direct reply, but the supervisor from the JET program apparently threw it out or doesn't have it or lost it, something like that. So I go into the post office and I talk to them there and I say, I'm looking for 5 boxes from South Africa mailed to this address. They're supposedly in this post office somewhere. And I talk to a Mr. Tunnel and he says, I looked, they're not here. Well, who do I talk to? How do I find these packages? I don't know, you need the tracking number. Well, you're obviously not going to be very helpful. Is there someone above you who can help me? Nope, I'm the top person here right now. Well, where do these packages go if they're not here? I mean, are you sure they're not here? I'm sure they're not here. Well, where do they go? I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? You're the top person here. I don't know. Well, who do I talk to who would know? These people call them on a weekday. I end up calling the airport, and I was on the phone for 30 minutes with them. And this was just recently because it had to be during business hours, in the middle of the day. And they looked around and they checked and they couldn't find anything, and they called me back and said, you could call the original post office that had them and ask them to look up the tracking number based on the address and about the time of delivery. I called them and they said, if you don't know the tracking number, we can't help you. Called them back, not expecting a lot of help, and I talked to this young woman. She says, well, I can check and I'll ask my supervisor. And I said, well, before I talked to Mr. Tunnel, she said, oh, he's my supervisor. Your supervisor was the guy who couldn't help me. So it's like, okay, this is going to go around again. She actually finds the packages. Not the tracking number, the packages. And they're in the post office where Mr. Tano said they weren't. They're just in the back room, sitting around. I'm sure they have a space specifically for undelivered packages. And 5 boxes from South Africa, if you had one small package that was like the size of a checkbook, I understand. That's a little harder to find. 5 big boxes. You get it. So she says, yeah, they're here. It'll cost you basically $100 to pick them up, and it'll cost you $270 to send them back to South Africa. Please let us know when you're coming. So this whole cycle of incompetence. If they had just looked when I first called, if the other teacher had kept if the supervisor had kept the tracking number, any of this would have been so much easier. So expensive in general. Don't get me wrong, I love the post office. I really like the idea that I can handwrite a letter, hand it to someone, or put it in a box with a stamp on it, and for less than the cost of a drink, I can have someone carry a letter to the other side of the planet. So for the most part, I really love post offices, but this was just terrible. But it's almost finished. Just got to get those packages there. Probably going to go do that this weekend. Anyways, have a wonderful day.